If you like transformations, wait till you see what happens with this pretty piece. Hi guys, I'm Elisa with FusionDIY. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. If you're returning, welcome back. This is an old Bombay Company piece that I picked up at the Goodwill. I'm giving it a really thorough sanding to get off all of the shiny off of it. Once the sanding is done, I'm going over it with some awesome cleaner, and it is awesome. It does. Now, just to make sure that I get the proper adhesion for my paint, I'm going over the piece with a coat of Dixie Belle's Slick Stick so that my paint has something to grip to. And here it is with 2 coats of Slick Stick. I'm using Country Chic Mineral Paint in the color Simplicity, and I'm going to give it 2 coats of this paint. When the 2 coats were done, I also went over the filigree work inside the table, and that was a challenge because I was using too big of a brush. So I switched over to a smaller brush in the hopes that I could get into all of the little details, and that worked out great. Now I'm using a transfer from the Joie de Roses IOD transfer set that just came out this spring. I believe Joie de Roses means joy of roses. I don't remember my French all that well. Anyway, it's a beautiful, beautiful transfer with multiple pages, and this transfer is going to be perfect on this piece of furniture. Now I'm going to take the second page to this transfer, and I'm going to very carefully match up the seams so that it is very hard to distinguish where the seam is on this transfer. This process definitely calls for patience because you really need to make sure that you're matching up the transfer perfectly so that you can't see the seam. Once I have the second page positioned exactly where I want it, I'm going to press it down, and then I'm going to take my transfer stick and I'm going to rub the transfer onto the remaining portion of the piece of furniture. Now, I will tell you that when I put this transfer on, I put it on incorrectly. And you'll see in just a few minutes what I mean by it being put on incorrectly. But not to be discouraged, there is a fix for that, and I'm going to show you what needs to be done in order for the fix to take place. Now I'm going to match the other side of the transfer to as close as possible as I can. And this transfer is so versatile that it's very easy to match parts and pieces. But just remember, if you cut pieces away, do not throw them away. Keep all the little flowers and the rosebuds and all of that, because I'm going to use mine in further along in this video, and you'll see that. Now you can see where the top meets the skirt of the table, there is a white line, and that's because when I put the transfer on, I did not allow for the extra transfer to go into that crack between the top and the skirt. So when I put the transfer on and I pressed it in, it actually split the transfer. But not to despair, I am going to fix it and watch what I do. If you have not ever watched John Mark Mendez on his YouTube channel, you need to see him. I learned some very important things from him, and one of the things that I learned is that you can paint on decoupage paper and you can paint on transfers. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm simply color matching all of the areas that need to be fixed, and I am going to fill in those areas with paint. And the other thing that I'm doing is I'm also carrying the colors in the paint over to the transfer so that it doesn't look like there's a fix there. It almost looks like it's part of the transfer. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys, this was definitely time consuming, but I will tell you that when it was done, and you'll see, it's almost impossible to tell that there was any type of a repair done. The key thing to remember here is that you are blending in to the transfer with the colors of paint that you're using. So just be careful as you blend and make sure that you are getting as close to the colors in your transfer as possible. The other thing that I wanted to mention as well is that on the left side of the table, you can actually see the seam where I put the two pieces together. But I did go back and take some paint and I blended the seams together so that it is barely noticeable that there was ever a seam there. Now you can see I'm going back and I'm pressing the transfer into the crease just to make sure that everything is pressed all the way in, because I don't want to paint and then have the transfer break again in the future when the piece is in someone's home. So I did that just to make sure that it was already pressed into the crease. So here's a look at the repaired piece. It's hard to tell that there was any tears in the transfer, right? So now that the top was done, I started to look at the bottom and the bottom shelf, and I thought, oh, this definitely needs a transfer as well. It really, it looked pretty with just the one transfer, but I felt like if I wanted to take it to the next level, I had to add a transfer on the bottom. So that's what I'm doing here. Now remember I said don't throw away those extra flowers, those extra roses, because what I'm doing is I'm going to soften that edge on the right with a couple of rosebuds that I cut away from the first page of the transfer. And now, just to draw your eye to the top of the piece, to the back of the shelf, I'm going to add another rose there. Once that was done, I gave the piece 2 coats of Minwax's water-based polyurethane, and I added the hardware back on, and this is the finished result. This piece is sitting in my basement, and it's getting a 30-day cure before it goes into my booth. I wanted to show you the beautiful bird on this transfer. It's gorgeous. Thank you for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed this amazing transformation. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I release another video. Once again, thanks for watching and have an awesome week.